Be ready. Start. The petitioner bank challenges an interim order of the Consumer Disputes Redressal Forum (LFUSA) passed under the Consumer Protection Act 1986 in Exhibit P4 complaint filed by respondents 1 and 2, restraining and prohibiting the petitioner from taking auction proceedings of sale and other proceedings against the respondents 2 and 3 pursuant to a notice issued by the petitioner under the Securitization and Reconstruction of Financial Assets and Enforcement of Security Interest Act 2002 (SURFACE Act) clause for recovery of loan amounts due under a loan given to the respondents 2 and 3 on the ground that the respondents 2 and 3 have made out a prima facie case against the petitioner and there is a consumer dispute stop. According to the petitioner, the Consumer Disputes Redressal Forum has no jurisdiction to entertain a challenge against the proceedings under the SURFACE Act stop. The respondents 2 and 3 oppose the prayers of the petitioner on the ground that since there is a consumer dispute involving deficiency in service of the petitioner and banking comes within the purview of service as defined in Section 2 (O) of the Consumer Protection Act, the CDRF has jurisdiction to entertain a complaint regarding deficiency in service of the petitioner bank, notwithstanding the SURFACE Act, in view of Section 3 of the Consumer Protection Act stop. I have considered the rival contentions in detail stop. At first blush, the argument of the respondents on the basis of the definition of service in Section 2 (O) of the Consumer Protection Act read with Section 3 thereof, stipulating that the provisions of the Consumer Protection Act shall be in addition to and not in derogation of the provisions of any WP number 5957 of 2011 other law for the time being in force sounds attractive stop, but the jurisdiction of the Consumer Disputes Redressal Forum to interfere with proceedings under the SURFACE Act has to be appreciated in the light of the provisions of the SURFACE Act, the object and purpose of that Act, and the decisions of the Supreme Court upholding the primacy of the Act, even in relation to the powers of the High Court under Article 226 of the Constitution of India. Stop. At the outset, certain obvious facts are to be noted, which are as follows. Stop. The Consumer Protection Act is a general enactment and the SURFACE Act is a special enactment. Stop. The Consumer Protection Act was enacted in 1986, whereas the SURFACE Act was enacted in 2002. Stop. Under Section 3(4) of the SURFACE Act, jurisdiction of the civil courts for entertaining any suit or proceeding in respect of any matter which a debts recovery tribunal or the appellate WP number 5957 of 2011 tribunal is empowered by the said Act to determine is barred, and no injunction shall be granted by any court or other authority in respect of any action taken or to be taken in pursuance of any power conferred by or under the said Act. Stop. Under Section 3(5) of the SURFACE Act, the provisions of the said Act is to have effect notwithstanding anything inconsistent therewith contained in any other law for the time being in force, or any instrument having effect by virtue of any such law. Stop. Over.